Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really fundamental, taking insights from ancient Stoicism and seeing how they apply to, well, the constant buzz of digital life.
It feels incredibly relevant right now.
It really does. We looked at several sources for this, and one statistic just jumped out.
Oh, the screen touches one.
Yeah, the average person touches their phone screen over 1,000 times a day.
Which is already mind-boggling.
Right, but the sources frame it in a really interesting way. Not just mindless habit, but each touch is like a vow for the feeling of attention.
Like we're constantly inserting a coin, hoping for an emotional payoff. That emotional coin idea is powerful.
It leads straight into that big modern paradox, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We've never been more connected, technically speaking.
Yet there's this pervasive sense of loneliness, of isolation.
That constant need for the emotional coin, for validation, it kind of twists connection into dependency, you know?
It does. And it makes you think about Marcus Aurelius writing Meditations. He was often, literally on a battlefield.
Facing real external conflicts.
And our sources draw this direct line.
Yeah, arguing that our modern battlefield isn't out there somewhere. It's right here.
In the palm of your hand.
The phone. And every swipe, every scroll, it's described as a dopamine bullet designed to capture you.
So the core question we're exploring today, the one the Stoics would ask, it's not just the surface level, how can I focus better?
No, it goes much deeper. It's that fundamental Stoic question. Am I still in control of myself? And one of the first things that gets lost in this environment is silence, just quiet.
We seem almost afraid of it now, don't we? Being alone with just our thoughts.
There's a real societal discomfort there. Like something bad will happen if there's no input.
But for a Stoic thinker?
Silence is crucial. It's the space where the mind actually starts to gain clarity, become real.
And the moment we turn away from that quiet,
the digital world is waiting, ready to buy our attention, as the sources say, at any cost.
It feels like an uneven fight sometimes, because the algorithm isn't just sitting there passively.
Not at all. That's why it gets called this sleepless beast. It's not just guessing.
It's processing vast amounts of data.
Trillions of points. To figure out not just your preferences, but your vulnerabilities. When you're weak.
Tired, bored, anxious.
Exactly. It feeds on those basic human emotions. And particularly, it seems, on fear. Which
brings us back to Marcus Aurelius again. That warning feels so contemporary. A distracted mind is a weak mind.
Precisely. If we're always available to be pulled away by the next ping, the next notification.
Our minds don't build that inner strength, that resilience.
And that leads to a pretty stark conclusion in the materials we reviewed. If you don't have a clear sense of your own goals, what you want,
technology will step in.
It will. It'll essentially decide your behavior for you. If you don't program yourself, the system will program you.
Okay, so if this algorithm is a sleepless beast feeding on attention, the next big idea is understanding what we're actually feeding it.
Right. And the sources suggest technology isn't just this external thing we use.
It's more like a mirror.
A mirror reflecting our inner state, our soul. Every click, every like, every scroll. It's like a fragment of the self being illuminated.
That's quite a perspective. It makes you think about what we consume.
It's key for self-diagnosis, really. We complain about toxic feeds, right?
All the time.
But how often do we look at our own role in creating that feed? Like the example given.
Yeah.
If you're constantly drawn to things that make you angry.
Outrage clicks, yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, you're looking to confirm an anger that's already inside you.
Or seeking constant validation, likes, comments.
It often points to a deeper lack of self-worth, doesn't it?
But here's a challenge. If the algorithm is so good at manipulating us, maybe even knows us better than we know ourselves sometimes, how reliable is that mirror? Isn't it distorted?
That's a fair point. The sources frame it as an amplified mirror.
Amplified, okay.
It reflects what you choose to nourish. If you click on envy, if you feed the fear, if you engage with greed, that's what gets reflected back, but louder. Much louder.
So it doesn't create the initial impulse, it just magnifies what's already there.
Exactly. It needs raw material from us, which completely reframes the question.
Instead of just asking, how much does the algorithm manipulate me?
We have to ask the Stoic question. What material have I given it to manipulate? What am I feeding this thing?
That puts the power back in our court, doesn't it? It reminds me of Epictetus.
Nothing is good or bad, only our thinking makes it so.
Right. So technology. It can be a chain if you're unconscious and reactive.
But if you're conscious, applying Stoic principles, it becomes a tool, a mirror you can choose to learn from.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We understand the reflective nature of tech. What's the first practical step? The first weapon?
It has to be the cornerstone of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control.
The absolute foundation. Some things are up to us, others are not.
And applying this clearly in the digital age is what separates, well, freedom from a kind of modern enslavement.
So let's define the boundaries. What's not in our control in this digital world?
The algorithms themselves, for starters. The sheer volume of attractive or outrageous content, the notifications popping up, the foolish comments people leave, the comparisons the system constantly pushes on us.
You can't just tell the platforms to stop or command them not to watch your behavior.
Nope. That's outside your circle of control.
But what is absolutely inside that circle?
Your response.
Yeah.
Always. Whether you click the link, whether you keep scrolling, whether you let that provocative video hijack your mood.
That's entirely up to you.
Control lives in that tiny gap between the stimulus, the notification, the tempting headline, and your reaction.
The algorithm wants instant reflex.
And we counter with intentional pause. The sources talk about a simple practice. The 3-second pause.
Okay, how does that work?
Before you just instinctively grab your phone or tap that app icon, you stop just for 3 seconds. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is interacting with this right now actually in my control? Does it serve my purpose?
That pause creates distance.
It's the space between reflex and genuine choice.
But, 3 seconds can feel like an eternity when that notification light is blinking. How do you make that pause realistic, like in the heat of the moment?
It really starts super small. Think about the moment your screen lights up. That flash of light is your cue. Instead of the immediate grab and swipe reflex, just notice the light. Acknowledge it, and consciously decide, nope, not right now. Let it sit.
You're choosing your current focus, or just your peace, over the urgency it's trying to create.
Exactly. It's a tiny act of resistance, but doing it repeatedly builds that muscle of choice. It makes the pause less effortful over time.
So it's like adapting Marcus Aurelius for today. He'd prepare for difficult people.
And we prepare for digital triggers. We tell ourselves, okay, today I'm going to encounter tempting clickbait, maybe some dumb comments, distracting notifications. That's external.
But I choose what I engage with. I won't let the noise steal my inner peace.
That's the essence of it, applying that core Stoic principle directly to the screen.
Another huge factor here is FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. It feels like, a modern religion almost.
An invisible religion, yeah. And every notification is like a little church bell calling you to service.
It constantly pulls you out of your own life.
It really does. And it connects directly to what Seneca wrote about time.
Oh, right. We suffer not from lack of time, but from wasting it.
On things that do not belong to us.
Yeah.
And FOMO is perhaps the ultimate modern example of that waste.
Because you end up living anxiously through the curated highlights of other people's lives rather than your own.
Exactly. And the sources offer this really sharp psychological insight. Often, the fear of missing out on what's happening out there comes from a deeper fear that you've already missed yourself long ago. That you've lost touch with your own inner life.
Wow, that hits hard. So if you're constantly looking outside...
It suggests an inner void you're trying to fill externally, which, from a Stoic perspective, is futile.
So how does a Stoic filter information then? How do they decide what's worth paying attention to?
The key question is always about purpose. Does consuming this piece of news, this trend, this update, does it actually help me live more rightly, more wisely, more justly?
And if the answer is no,
then, as one source puts it, it might just be addiction disguised as updating. Information overload without purpose.
Okay, so the practical antidote is this idea of conscious omission.
Deliberately choosing not to know something, choosing to miss out.
That sounds radical, almost countercultural. What's a small, concrete way someone listening could practice that right now?
Okay, super practical. Go into your phone settings, pick one app, maybe the one you check most compulsively, like a news app or social media, and just turn off its push notifications.
Not delete the app, just silence the constant summons.
Exactly. You could still check it intentionally later, but you're removing the trigger. That small act of daring to miss whatever that notification was about.
It proves the world doesn't end.
Right. And your mind starts to regain a little bit of its own ground. It begins to stand up for itself.
It feels like the whole digital ecosystem is designed for maximum comfort, maximum ease, instant gratification, frictionless experience.
Which sounds good, but it has a side effect. It erodes our capacity for discomfort, for endurance.
We start fearing silence, fearing boredom, fearing any kind of delay or friction.
And the Stoic countermove here is fascinating. The practice of voluntary discomfort.
Intentionally seeking out small hardships.
Yes, it's described as a punch in the face of the algorithm.
Why? Because the algorithm can't understand it.
Precisely. The system is built on predicting and catering to your desire for ease, for escape. It doesn't compute choosing difficulty.
Well, what does this look like in the digital context, beyond just delaying gratification?
It can be really small things, like deciding to sit quietly for 5 minutes just thinking before diving into email. Or maybe taking a walk without headphones, letting your mind wander, or even get bored.
Not checking social media until after your first important task of the day is done?
Exactly. It's about training your mind. Adapting Seneca, you could say. Get used to silence, get used to a little boredom, so that when the screen finally does turn off, you're still fully yourself. You haven't outsourced your inner state.
And the goal of this training?
It leads to building what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel.
An internal fortress.
Right. We spend so much on cybersecurity for our data, but very little on building a cognitive architecture to protect our own minds, our focus, our peace.
What makes this inner citadel unhackable by the algorithm or external noise?
Its strength comes from consistently applying that dichotomy of control, but internally. Remember Marcus saying, no one can cause us pain unless we permit it.
Okay.
The algorithm can throw stimuli at you, it can target your habits, but it cannot breach a mind that consciously chooses how to interpret those stimuli.
How do you practice that interpretation?
There's a great Epictetus exercise for this. When you feel yourself getting swept away by some outrageous news story or a tempting ad, you literally stop and say, maybe even out loud, this is just data.
Yeah.
This is information. The emotion, the anger, the desire, that's what I'm adding to
You
it.
separate the external fact from your internal feeling.
Yes. That separation instantly retrieves your control. It puts you back in the driver's seat. And the ultimate goal here, the highest form of this freedom,
Yes.
is achieving such a stable inner quiet that you realize you don't even need the silent mode on your phone anymore. The silence isn't a setting, it's within you.
So bring this all home. The final point seems to be that the ultimate form of resistance, of self-mastery in this age, isn't loud, it's quiet.
It's about consistency. Consistency between what you say, what you think, and what you actually do.
A quiet revolution.
Exactly. In a digital world obsessed with speed, noise, and often polarization. Just choosing to be genuinely righteous, genuinely thoughtful, that's a profound act of defiance.
It goes against the grain of superficiality. It reminds me of Marcus again. Be righteous rather than merely seem to be righteous.
That's the core. It means choosing intellectual honesty over jumping on an outrage bandwagon just because it gets clicks.
Or, not doing something good just so you can post about it and get virtual pats on the back.
Precisely. And it applies very directly to online interactions, like the example in the source material about dealing with online insults or attacks.
The power of choosing not to retaliate.
Yes. Remembering Epictetus, the words themselves don't harm you. It's your judgment about the words that causes the sting.
So if you choose silence, if you choose not to engage in the toxic cycle,
You maintain your control. You refuse to feed the beast your emotional reaction, which is exactly what the algorithms often thrive on.
so this modern stoicism applied day to day. It's about choosing the right action, the thoughtful response.
Consistently, quietly, even if nobody notices.
Yeah.
Even if no one gives you a single like, as the source puts it.
Living rightly with integrity offline and online. That's the real resistance.
That's the true, quiet revolution against a system often built on exploiting our worst impulses. Hashtag outro.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive really brings it home. Freedom in this digital age isn't about escaping technology, but about a kind of radical self-awareness.
It really boils down to knowing, moment by moment, who or what is actually in control.
And then actively choosing. Choosing reason, choosing your values over that instant programmed reflex.
So maybe a final thought for you listening, something to reflect on. Building on that Stoic idea of self-examination, like keeping a journal.
Yeah.
If you're feeling overwhelmed by it all, the noise, the demands of your attention, remember this challenge. You don't actually need to defeat the world. You don't need to conquer the internet.
Your only real mission is.
Just don't let the world defeat your mind. Protect that inner space.
So the invitation is clear. Maybe after this, take that deep breath we talked about. Pause before you reach for the screen.
And just start that small internal conversation. Ask yourself what truly matters.
That's where the philosophy comes alive.
And that's where real freedom begins.